Welcome back to War Thunder and welcome aboard the I-301, which is a Russian rank 1 battle rating 2.7 fighter. And I want to present you this plane under the circumstances of it being not fully up to the task of SEAL clubbing capabilities, because the main armament, the biggest gun equipped to a plane at this battle rating, the 23mm PTB 23 cannon with 81 rounds, is not fully capable of destroying its enemies because of the current performance of 23mm overall in the Russian tech tree, which is a shame. And that is the reason why in this plane, in realistic, I just have a 6-to-1 kill to death ratio in it. Back in the arcade days, I achieved over 10-to-1. This is how balanced this plane is. Now, thankfully, the 23mm cannon is backed up by two 12.7mm Barretts UB machine guns with 420 rounds and two 7.62mm Shkas machine guns with 1300 rounds. Now, in the beginning, you saw me a little bit fiddling around with manual engine control, and that is important as this plane just runs through the oil temperature, and without interacting with manual engine control or mech, this thing would probably overheat very fast. I just opened the radiators and set the propeller pitch to around about 95%, which I always do. And I use mech exclusively more or less for the climbing process, although in this I use it for the entire battle, as interfering with the mixture it's for specialists. I'm not one of them, and also the supercharger gear is something that I really did not make work on this plane in particular, because the WEP just ran out, it grayed out, which is something that happens on Russian planes. So also you could see in the beginning on the runway that this plane feels really heavy and has a poor acceleration. The I-301 was a reward vehicle. It's been a while since I got my hands on it, so I think it must be like over 2 years ago when I got it, something like that. And that was the time when I achieved my over 10-to-1 kill to death ratio in it, which is completely balanced. Now, I mentioned it has the biggest armament on a fighter in terms of caliber at this battle rating. And I think it has not changed, if I'm correct. There might be some Japanese heavy fighters with a 37mm cannon around about this tier. Yes, there is the Ki 45 Otsu Toryu, but again it's a heavy fighter and it has kind of limited amounts of ammunition. Oh, nowadays it has 100 rounds. That's nice. Okay, I take that back. The thing that I want to show you is how you can just have a very nice battle indeed with such a plane. The funny fact about this plane is how it actually performs in the air. And when you start from the runway, you don't have a good feeling in this. The oil overheats, so you have to use mech, and then yeah, this plane doesn't seem that nimble to previous planes that you might have flown. And the I-301 is not just a reward vehicle, it seems to be, as far as I can tell, a prototype to the Lag 3s. Now, prototypes normally don't have that much heavy armament, I guess, but in certain respects it completely outclasses the Lag 3s. It has a better top speed, and on the deck this thing is fast. It can run away from nearly everything, as we'll see later on in the game. Furthermore, the entire armament is centralized, with the 23mm being nose mounted through the propeller hub. Furthermore, the energy retention of this plane is just ridiculous, and despite this thing being heavy, the unique wing shape that you can see right here is so good. It creates so much lift. Together with the fantastic elevator, this thing just turns, especially when you use your flaps. This thing can go way above 650 kilometers an hour. I did not really test out the high speed capabilities, but it has a lockup. It definitely suffers from lockups. The fascinating thing is how fast it can go up to speeds where you have a lockup. This plane is fantastic. It definitely can perform at higher battle rating. Now, the one thing that disqualifies it at the moment, in my opinion, from being a constant threat at higher tiers are two things. First of all, it's kind of rare. I'm not quite sure when it was available last time, but also the performance of the 23mm. Watch this. The funny thing about this plane is that it completely shows you what is what. The 23mm does not really the damage, but it's the 12.7s that do amazing amounts of damage. Now I have my weapon system separated here, and the 23s fire together with the 7.62s, I believe, and the 12.7s fire separately. It's my unique weapon setup. It works for the majority of planes, and this is one of the planes where you kind of wanted to have a third fire button or a different kind of arrangement how it works. Short burst, and the SBD3 is on fire, but as we will see in a moment, he puts the fire out by having pure skill right here. And that, yeah, annoys me a little bit. I turn around and there you can see how good this plane actually turns for such a heavy beast. Like, on the start, on the runway, it feels so heavy, so slow, so sluggish. And yeah, that strafing run was not the best, despite having a good run. Might have been my aim, kind of, despite having some hits. And at the end of the day, it's him bailing out because of having, yeah, a completely dead engine. So, then watch this. There is a Spitfire and an F4F above me, and there is eventually the kill. And I watch this. Watch the controllability at low speed. And I just run out of cannon ammunition, and with the last hit, I guess, I put him on fire and he burned down really quickly. So that's my second kill and a double strike. Good result right there. And then I'm just diving away, and look at this thing accelerate. It's just amazing. And that is kind of the weird thing, you know. This thing feels like a higher tier plane. And it on paper does have the armament as well. I mean, 4 machine guns, 1 big cannon. Yeah, and that was a freeze in the actual game. I had no idea what happened there. The game just froze for a moment. I was glad that it didn't crash. But let's move on. Now, at this moment, I played with the thought of going back to the runway to rearm the 23mm. And then I spotted earlier on the Spitfire and the P-39N, and I have to deal with them somehow. The P-39 does not really look interested in continuing fighting. He looks like being on his way home. Maybe he's out of ammunition, maybe he received some AAA fire damage, something like that. Doesn't matter. But the Spitfire really seems to be interested. And look at how much I can climb with the speed that I have. How much I can climb? Is that even English? I don't know. Doesn't matter. So I trick him into kind of stalling out below me. And Spitfire Mark 1. Watch this. Took me a while, and then the P-39 turned around. Now it is, and this P-40 kind of missed me hard. This is amazing. I love this plane. look at how controllable it is. It feels like almost arcadish, okay? It's just outstandingly well in its capabilities. The P-39N dives away, and the P-40E makes kind of a horizontal turn. And that gives me the opportunity to fire at him with the machine guns. And I get multiple hits into him. The P-39N does not seem to be interested. The Spitfire is too high up to engage me anytime soon, so I turn around. The P-40 kind of panics the way he flies. He tries to dive away, but he just simply doesn't have a chance against the flight performance of this plane. I fire with the machine guns. The heavy machine guns then do damage to the fuselage. I pull up again, and oh my god, this plane just... it feels so on point. No instructor interference, and a decent flight model overall. And just amazing energy retention. All that just secured me on point aiming for my 4th kill. With my actual secondary armament. Because I had just, as I mentioned, run out of ammunition earlier. So, 4 kills like that. Time to rearm. Now, I have to say, what surprises me about certain planes and what is in big contrast to, for example, a Focke-Wulf, is the way you can control your speed. Not just the gain of speed, the acceleration, the top speed and so on, but also the loss of speed. Okay, and you can see here this plane has an amazing energy retention, but when you turn you lose speed with 0% throttle. Okay, so in the turns you actually don't lose that much speed as you would expect. Again, it seems like to have something to do with the very nice wing shape, where a lot of lift area is around the fuselage, and you know, it's not really Spitfire wings, those elliptical wings, but it's more or less triangular shape with a rounded tip. Hard to describe, you know. So I land, and a little bit of drifting is always nice. I'm kind of repeating myself here, and the Spitfire comes in. Obviously he wants to strafe me, and I'm about to be repaired in 7 seconds. He comes close, so I know I can get repaired before he actually goes into weapon range, and I'm just thinking of bailing out. I'm adjusting my propeller pitch again to 95%, which seems to be the optimal one, at least for the start. And I'm just observing him. Now, at this point, the mind game begins. He does not really know that the AAA around this frontline airfield is not the sharp kind of AAA model. So he runs away, which gives me the opportunity to kind of fake acting like I think he's turning away. I know he's observing me, okay? But I just need a little bit of time difference to make it off from the runway. And it's around about now that I think to myself, let's start. I have so much confidence against this aircraft that I dare to start from the airfield with a Spitfire being just under 7 kilometers away. I have that much confidence in it, in its acceleration once in the air, and overall handling and smoothness. Now he disappears from, or the red boxing disappears, the dot is still visible, and I start nevertheless. I know he observes the runway, and there is still kind of the opportunity for him to spot me on the runway. So now he comes in screaming with his Spitfire, and I have many advantages at this point. For example, the head-on firepower. And you could see I'm not that slow in the acceleration. So he pulls up and I pull into him, okay? That confuses him. He breaks off his turn, and already I'm in a position where I can also put a little bit of pressure on him. I know that I can't continue the turn, but I can turn long enough with him that he finally makes a turn and gives me an exit route. So, flaps raised, and let's go for it. A little bit of dive is all I need to accelerate that fast that the Spitfire can't keep up. You couldn't do this with a German plane, or a or an American plane for that matter. And then I fake the climb, a little bit of a harsh climb, and now he realizes that the AAA is not sharp, but there is the I-16 slowly but steadily coming in. At this point, I thought to myself, should I engage him directly or not? Yeah, let's go for it. Let's freaking go for it. At this point, it is important to know that again I have mech activated. That keeps the oil and the water cool enough. Again, without mech, this thing would cook up pretty fast. And you know, I love my whip. I just love it. And on the deck, you know, a lot of things do not really count too much, and the drag from the radiators and coolings and so on is not that great. I mean, in top speed scenarios, sure, close them, but then your engine cooks up. And a pilot snipe for my 5th kill. And yeah, I tried to preserve a lot of ammunition. So even without the I-16, I would have been confident in taking him down eventually. That the I-16 baited the Spitfire for me made life easier, but it didn't save me. I'm that confident, okay? But again, I like easy kills, everybody likes that, and even a Spitfire can't recover from this kind of stalling. The sad thing is that I had a pilot snipe and not a wing rip. That seems to be a detail, but I had numerous 23mm hits on the wings. At least I think they were 23mm, and they did not do the damage. It had to be a pilot snipe. At the end of the day, you know, a kill is a kill, but the 23mm is really underperforming at the moment, which in case is a nice thing for the enemies facing this thing in a certain way, because that actually takes a lot of the brutality from the plane. But again, as you could see in the previous minutes, even the machine guns are enough. Now at this point I feel a little bit guilty interrupting the dogfight between the P-39N and the Lag 3, but you know, at this point I was not quite sure if the Lag 3 could dominate the P-39, so I just went in all head on and got the kill. He hit me numerous times, but even my paper doll plane or, you know, damage indicator did not pop up. I have to say one thing that might surprise you. This plane doesn't take damage too well. As fluid as it flies without damage, the second one wing gets damaged, it really kind of gets back into a normal state of flight model and you struggle to continue the fighting. So it's better than to disengage and just land this thing. So, Survivor, Best Squad, Terror of the Sky. What a surprise in the I-301. The most balanced plane at tier 1. So let's have a look at the results. This is being a full premium, giving me nearly 58,000 solo lines, 8,244 research points without any multiplier or boosters being applied. I'm currently researching nothing, so the actual vehicle research points would have been much more, and I was first in team with 4,365 score points. That's a really nice result. 6 kills is always nice and not common. So this plane is really worth it, and once the 23mm gets unnerved, this will be a true beast and not kind of the kitty that it is now. And you saw what this kitty can do at the moment. So that's it for me. So thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please give a like if you did. Subscribe if you want to see more. And we will see each other in the skies of War Thunder.